ku'u aloha nui, mo'olelo time ke ia. Hara Eia aula o tutu man, eia aula o tutu man, eia aula o tutu man, e ho'o hau'olia oe. Mo'olelo time ke ia, me ku'u aloha nui, mo'olelo time ke ia. Do that one more time. Eia aula o tutu man, eia aula o tutu man, eia aula o tutu man. E ho'o hau'olia oe, me ku'u aloha nui, mo'olelo time ke ia, mo'olelo time ke ia. So today is part 3 of that wonderful interview that happened, years ago at KCCN radio. It was called 1420 KCCN, and I was a guest on the interview. And that was with the Honolulu Skylark, Jacqueline Leilani Rossetti, and of course with Haunani Apoliona, and excuse me, Haunani Apoliona and myself, Kawai Kapokalani Hewitt. So this is a kind of listening. We're going to be listening, and if you ask questions, I might be able to answer on my computer. Remember now, this interview is maybe 30 years ago, and I myself, I've never heard the interview. And so as I'm sitting here listening to it with you all, I'm hearing for the first time things that I said like 30 years ago. I think for the most part, I'm pretty much the same on my views and my values. If there's something that I have a discrepancy with, I'll let you know. I'll stop the cassette. It was on an old cassette. But this part of the live is going to begin with a song by one of my cousins. His name is Dennis Kamakahi, and it is one of my favorite songs that he wrote. It is called Puahone. So let's begin the live listening talk story. And you'll hear, like I said, Honolulu Skylark, Jacqueline Leilani Rossetti. You will hear Haunani Apoliona, and you will hear myself. Here we go. Feeling about the songs that you know, hey, this is Hawaiian. So that was called Puahone. It was written by, like I say, a cousin of mine's, Mr. Dennis Kamakahi, and that song was recorded by the brothers Casimiro. So it's a part of this interview, and the interview's topic is Haku Mele. Interestingly enough, the brothers Casimiro also recorded my first song, which was Kawailehua Ala Kahonua. So in the interview, Skylark is asking me questions and Haunani Apoliona questions. And remember now, I was maybe in my late 20s or in my early 30s when this interview was done. And now I'm 66. Let's continue to listen on.
You know, hey, this is Hawaiian. These people have taken the time out and done their homework. They know what they're doing. This is not something that's just, slapped together and that's it. A great deal of thought and consideration went into the final product, right?
What about you, Hawk?
I think, in addition to Dennis, who brothers mentioned, I think there are composers that perhaps have not had the opportunity to be heard. Haunani Bernardino is a composer who I feel is one who is yet to be heard from. And there are other, say, students who have been part of the program at Manoa or Hilo now, who have an enthusiasm for the language, and it may not be a composition, or they may not be individuals who will compose 5 or 6, but there's we have a composition. And I think going along with trying to encourage people to compose in Hawaiian language, it's people who have the opportunity to record and to put those songs out for the general public that also are part of the relationship in looking for and looking towards new composers and giving them the opportunity to bring their songs into the forum of Hawaiian music. And I think while we are also composers ourselves, we have that opportunity to be more inclusive of individuals.
Do you find kids coming to you with songs? They say, can you sing this song for me? I wrote this song. Would you like to listen to it? Do you ever come across that?
There's been 1 or 2 people who have told me they have songs, and they ask me to listen to them. But I think, one of the things that we have experienced is when you write, you're really writing it to share what's inside of you. And if you're fortunate enough, someone is going to hear it and want to sing it. But never really, you can't really, it's not appropriate to push it. I think, so with people who have asked me to listen, I listen. But I for some reason, I guess they either have their own mechanism. It's mostly, can you give me some feedback, rather than will you sing.
So I'm gonna stop the cassette, and remember now, this is an interview like 30 plus years ago, and what Haunani is talking about is when people ask you for help or to help you with their song, like maybe they wrote it in English and they want someone to help to write it in Hawaiian. And what she's saying is really, really important. What she's saying is that when she writes a song, it comes from like her innermost feelings, yeah? Because Haku Mele, that's the inspiration from where we all like bloom like flowers from, or we reflect like lights. So that inspiration is a very personal thing for Haku Mele. And what she's saying is that when people come and ask, like myself, to translate a song or to help them to write a song, or, it's really a big challenge. It's really, really different because inspiration happens in any old time. You can be inspired, really inspired to write a song. I get up in the morning, I like writing a song. I'm washing dishes, I like writing a song. You know, but the minute somebody says, help me to write a song, that inspiration kind of just disappears. And it's true. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. Okay, let's listen to more of what Haunani is saying.
Yeah. Or will you record it?
Will you record it, yeah. And I think you can't rush some things, you know. Just, they're going to happen naturally. Just be patient.
Are there songs, though, that you have heard that just you want to record because they're done so well? Or have you come across that yet at all?
When I think about songs I like to record, I like to go back to the old stuff. You know, because in the songs, in the recording and having people sing it so the song lives. And one of those old ones was Na Moku Kaulana. I think that's a real neat anti-type flavor song, nice hula tempo. But I was real happy to record that because it's not heard very often. And I think it's only been on a 45.
So that was a song that Haunani Apoliona had recorded. And like again, for those of you that are just joining in, this was an old cassette tape that I found while trying to clean up my room and going through all my old things. And It's about an interview that was done with the Honolulu Skylark. She was interviewing both Haunani and myself. And interesting, I think Haunani had just graduated from School of Social Work and she was beginning her career, and I was just joining the school. I had applied and was accepted in the School of Social Work. And I made a big decision then after attending school for one semester to get my master's in social work because my bachelor's was in education. I decided that I wanted to stay home with my grandma and study the Olelo Hawaii with her. And I think at that time it made me just appreciate and love the Olelo Hawaii from the Wahaona Po'e Kupuna o Kela Manawa back then. You know, grandma, her sisters, her brothers all spoke Hawaiian language. So we had the opportunities to interact with one another in Olelo Hawaii. Let's continue on with the interview.
On your Nalehulu, you chose women composers.
Yeah.
To salute and honor.
Right.
And you chose certain compositions from each of these women.
Right. The concept for the album was to highlight, as I said, compositions by people who maybe not be visible as composers, others who are. And the people that were, the compositions of the women that were on the album were women that, you know, when you go like a circle and a next circle and a next circle, these people were in the first circle who actually have, whose music I enjoy performing and or have been an impact or have been an influence on my music. And so Edith McKenzie. And that particular song was most appropriate in that it had just been composed, and it was part of this large group effort when, you know, the Hawaii delegation went to Tahiti, and it seemed very appropriate to open the album with Ano'ai. And Haunani Bernardino, of course, I mentioned Amalia Craver, who I have expressed having much influence on my enthusiasm to write. Lydia Kekueva in that song, Namo Kalana. Oh, so it takes me back to a long time ago. And, of course, Kavena Pukui. And Aima, Aluli McManus.
Yes.
That
I was going to talk about Hana by the Sea.
Hana by the Sea. And I don't usually sing English lyric, but I heard this song, Hana by the Sea, once when I was doing a Thursday Poi luncheon with Pomana. And it just caught me for some reason, the melody, and I don't know, I can't recall all the details, but I know it caught me, and I thought, gee, if I ever record an album, I'd like to do this song. So I asked Aima, and Aima too is a budding composer, and you know, if she continues to write, she'll be as prolific as her mom. You know, and Auntie Irmgard writes a lot in the English language, so I really hope Aima continues to write. But anyway, this particular song caught me, and she gave me permission to record it, and so that's how it landed on Nalehulu Makua.
So back then we were probably both in our 30s. Now I'm 66, Haunani must be close to 70.
I know that heaven is, and so I sing her song, because for me she will forever be a friend. I lost my heart to Hana by the sea, where nature sang to me in years. And so I sing her song, because for me she will forever be a friend. I lost my heart to Hana by the sea, where nature sang to me in sweet, soft harmony. Her gentle waterfalls caress her mountain strong. It's there I lost my heart. It's there where I belong. It's there I lost my heart. It's there where I belong. It's there I belong. It's there I belong.
Brother, you.
I have to mention at this time that there was an event way back then that was called Haku Mele or Hana, I think, composers, and we would all meet in Hana. And at that time we performed with all of the Farden family there in Hana. It was a very exciting time back then for all of us, because we had opportunities to meet with, of course, the older composers, the older Haku Mele, and we not only got to watch them perform their mele or their songs, but we got to also preview our songs. All right, continuing on with the lecture. That event, I don't know if they have that event anymore. We performed at 2 events at that time. One was called Namele o Maui, and then the other one was Haku Mele o Hana, the composers of Hana, or that's where we all gathered to meet. Anyway, let's listen to more of this interview.
And record your own songs, and your album is all of your compositions.
Well, I've also like Aroba Size was, I gave it to Palani Vaughn, and he put it on his most recent album. And Ku'upili Aumoe, the Maka Sons recorded, and Kawai Lehua was recorded first by the brothers Casimiro.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it was not by me. And then I
Teresa.
met Alan Yamamoto, and and Teresa has also recorded some of my songs. And then I met, like I say, Alan Yamamoto, and then we, with Haunani, put this project together and did Makalapua Oi. And I think we're going to be working on one soon, I hope.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
I understand you have a lot more songs that have not been recorded or anything done with yet.
That I want to get to work on now, yeah. So that's going to be exciting for me.
Do you enjoy teaching your songs to your girls, or vice versa? They come to you and say, well, are we going to learn any new songs?
Well, I think that's the thing that sets up our group kind of separate and unique from other groups, is that we do a lot of my own music. And when we go out and perform, even as the halau, that we tend to do a great deal of my own compositions. And I think the people that we're performing for look forward to that, to seeing something a little bit different. Because, I always say this, and I believe this, that my music for me is like my history, my little book that I'm writing, and about my life experiences and my feelings, my happy feelings and my sad feelings. And so when I get the music and I'm up there doing all of this, people may not be realizing it, but they're getting a good taste of what I really like inside, And so that's what we do in our show. And so people, like I say, they enjoy it, And I enjoy doing it for them too.
Oh,
end this series today, Haku Mele.
Before we end the series, that song, Auhea ohe e ku'ui po ku'ulei pika ke ku'upili au moe. The name of the song is Pili au moe, and the Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau asked me for that song, and I gave it to them. Of course, a lot of people have recorded my music, but anyway, everybody does it in their own style. And this was the song earlier in part 1 of this long interview. There's 3 parts. This is the 3rd part. There was a story where I went and gave a presentation on Haku Mele, and I remember it was at Ala Moana Beach Park. There is a hall there, and they asked me to come down and present on Haku Mele. And the kupuna was Aina Keawe. Now, kupuna Aina Keawe worked at the Hawaiian Center for City and County Parks and Recreation. And all of these kupuna came in, and when I was done with my presentation, I sang this song. Auhea oe e ku'ui po, ku'ulei pika ke ku'upili au moe. Remember now, I was in my late 20s and 30s. Now I'm 36, so that's 36 years maybe. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, the kupuna all said, oh my God, if I was a young girl, I'd be chasing you all over this room. And I thought that was so cute. Well, it looks like we're going to wind down. So let's see how this ends, all right? Again, it's an interview, and the interviewer is the Honolulu Skylark, Jacqueline Leilani Rossetti, and 2 people are being interviewed, Haunani Apoliona and myself.
What would you pass on to future generations listening to this 20, 30 years from now? Haku Mele.
I think for myself as a composer, and with all the spiritual help that I feel that I get, there has always been 3 rules that have guided me in my composing. And the first one is Manaka Olelo, and the second one is Manaka Pule, and the third one is Manake Kahea. And for me, as I interpret them, is that the language, a single word in the language, has this spiritual power. That's Manaka Olelo. Manaka Pule means how we take the words. And in ancient times, it was in prayer. Today it's song. But how we take these words and form this prayer or this song or this lay, as we call it, gives the words in the formulation of this prayer an extra dose of this spiritual power. And thirdly, Manakaleo, how this grouping of words, this lay, this song, is voiced, gives it a third and final dose of its spiritual power. And bearing all this in mind has, I think, guided me and made me the kind of composer I am today. And I think, although people say I'm a more contemporary composer, I think I am contemporary because I live today, but I think my methods of composing are very, very traditional. And one other rule that is always there is that don't dig a hole and leave it uncovered. So don't string that lay and leave a couple flowers out. Mm-hmm. If you're going to string the lay, string it in its entirety, knot it up, complete your lay. Because it's when you leave that lay incomplete that then you may run into some problem with your composing. So from beginning to end, make sure you're aware of what's happening and you have all corners covered. Mm-hmm. That nothing is left open in your compositions.
Haunani.
I think Haku Mele are the bridge, and as the closure on the Nalehulu Makua album said, E pulama I namana'o Kia mau Haku Mele, cherish and care about these thoughts by these composers. And if you who are listening will be composing now and in the future, remember that there is strength in our foundations, which is our traditions. Serve as that bridge in the present in addressing the future. And the challenge is to make sure of the message we're transmitting, and the challenge also lies in the form we present that message in, the presentation. And for myself, and I'm sure Frank and all of those others who are composers presently, we'll attempt to keep challenging ourselves to do the best compositions possible in our own, with our own human talents, and guided by, as Frank says, God and the spiritual forces that surround us and are part of our lives. So, Haku Mele kako, Haku Mele kako.
So we're going to close up. We've come to the ending. So in retrospect, what I like to say is this. That was a long time ago, and I was quite young. What I would say about myself today, again, looking back on what I said, I'm pretty clear on where I stand with the tradition of Haku Mele, and even back then, the things I said, I pretty much stand behind those things still today. But what I would say different is this, yeah. When I was interviewed, I was a young kid. I don't even think at age 30 I knew half of what I knew today. Would I have allowed them to interview me? If I knew what I know today, probably not. I would have said, you know what, you go out there and you find one kupuna who knows and who has a Ike on composition. Maybe they did other composers, but yeah, I had so much to learn back then. 36 years later, yeah, I'm happy with the things that I do today. So to close, I'm gonna sing for you one of my newest songs. Hopefully I can do them good, yeah. This song is called Pokiwai, and the Pokiwai is a kind of fabulous meal for us, When we were young, we lived simple. We never had plenty of money. We couldn't go all these kind of places. We couldn't go Starbucks. We couldn't go the kind fancy restaurant, Ruby Tuesday, and we couldn't go the kind Cheesecake Factory, and we never even knew what was hotel. We never even knew what buffet was. And so our life was simple. We buttered a cracker, we put them in a bowl, and we poured a hot chocolate on top, and winakela. We thought that was fabulous. That we called the Pokiwai. So let's try and give this song a try, and then after that we all pow, and I'm going to say thank you for coming and joining me in listening to this interview. There are 3 parts. You can go back and find part 1 and part 2. This is part 3. Okapokiwai, he ai ono loa I ka waha. Okapokiwai, he ono I sapu u te momoni. Iha. Okapokiwai, he ai ono loa I ka waha. Okapokiwai, he ono I sapu u te momoni. He ono, I ono, he ai ona kupa, o ke ia aina. He ono, I ono, he ai pukakau, I sa ono o ka Pokiwai. Sa pala aku na Hawaii pata malu lale. E sa pala aku kawai upata, maluna o sa palena, ho o tomo i sa pola, ninini i ka sope, e ai mesa ho o lale lale. He ono, he ono, he ono i ono, he ai o na kupa, o ke ia aina. He ono, he ono, he ono i ono, he ai putatau, i sa ono o ka poki wai. He ai putatau, i sa ono o ka poki wai. He ai putatau, i ka ono o ka poki wai. There we go, a song about the poki wai. Again, mahalo everyone. It's time to say aloha.
E nā Hawai'i, eia nā mele aloha o ko kākou la hui. E pūla mai na manao o ke ia mau haku mele. E hii poi i ka olelo mako hine. E nā Hawai'i, e hoki like, i mau ke ola o ko kākou waiwai. Mai huli kua, e apo mai, i ko ke akua, i haawi ia mai. E nā pua, mālio mai, i nei e leo e pai pai nei. Mālama pono i nā makana, he lua ole a nā kupuna.
You've been listening to the Heritage Series, produced by Jacqueline Lindsay and brought to you by Station Aloha, KCCN, and Bank of Hawaii as part of their continuing commitment to the people of these islands.
All right, everybody, take care. Good